Greetings, friends, and welcome back to my channel, The Law of Attraction with Love. I'm Love Fuller, and I am here with a Law of Attraction book club discussion. Today is a very special day because on the broadcast, we have a very special guest, Dennise Williams. Welcome, Dennise.
Hi.
Dennise and I know each other from we've known each other for about the past year or so, I think. And we actually met in a at Centers for Spiritual Living where we were in a discussion group about the law of attraction. So Dennise, welcome to the book discussion. I I just would love to hear. I want you to introduce yourself, but then we'll just jump into the discussion where we'll just be reading and discussing. And for the live viewers out there, welcome. But most people will probably be watching this in the video afterwards in the replay. So for the people in the replay, while Dennise and I will be talking, and sometimes if there are any people who are live, if they have a comment, I will mention their comments and be discussing, talking with them also. So if you hear me like reading something, it's because this was recorded live, where people can make comments and stuff. So Dennise, welcome. Thank you so much for coming. Please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about, who you are in your personal and professional lives, and a little bit more about how you came to know about the law of attraction and The Secret.
Okay. So, as I said, Dennise Williams, and I think the only job that matters is mom in chief. I have, two awesome sons, and so in terms of my journey towards being aware of The Secret, I would say in my mind officially that'd be like 2016. And I was going through a really rough patch, and I started looking for things that made sense. When I look back now, I could say that being in the world of my five senses, just being in the flesh, as they would say, everything I saw, heard, tasted, touched, it was just miserable, horrible.
Wow.
And every day I'd wake up to say, what fresh hell awaits me? And for 10 years, I couldn't paint. I couldn't take up a paintbrush. I was so angry, confused, just everything. And so, I was really blessed to meet people who were practicing metaphysical activities and law of attraction.
Mm-hmm.
Say metaphysical, some people like, but remember, physical is, as I said, the five senses. The word meta means above and beyond.
Yes.
And as I am on this journey above and beyond the physical, I can tell you, to make a very long story short, I wake up in the morning and I'm happy.
Yes. One thing I'm very happy to be able to say that lots of times when I wake up in the morning, you're one of the first people I talk to, right? We talk to each other. So I know Dennise personally, to know that she's very, committed to, personal growth and to learning about herself. And one of the ways that she studies and learns about herself and works to improve herself is through practicing the law of attraction, in particular through reading. Dennise, you're an avid reader, and my goodness, you're prolific when it comes to how much you can. Can you be prolific in terms of reading? I don't know what the word is.
You can be addicted to books. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sure. Yes. So, and so many of the books are related to the law of attraction. Have you ever read this book, The Secret?
Actually, no. And can I tell you, my exposure to The Secret was Pinterest, because there's like a million pins using The Secret, and I tend to save most of the ones I run into.
Yes.
So I am so excited for this opportunity to have The Secret added to my book list for 2021. I can tell you a lot of people say, oh, have a goal to read 10 books for the year. I don't even look at books like that. It's like having, how many showers do you plan to take for 2021? And is that a goal? So you don't think about how many showers, you just take a shower. So I read a book. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
But it's fantastic though. I mean, I definitely know that, I love to read, but you definitely have me. I mean your stamina, like meaning that but it's not just it's voraciousness. You read voraciously. That's the word, right?
Thank you.
Because you love learning.
I
right?
do. It's
You
a
love
joy.
growing and changing. Have you seen the film The Secret?
Again, no. And we were supposed to do a watch party. And so my birthday is next month.
Oh.
And I'm thinking that sounds like a birthday party to me.
That's fantastic. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so it's interesting, no, because I had been talking about, I thought, a different book. What the bleep do we know? Because I thought you'd seen The Secret. So this is going to be completely exciting for us to delve in and talk about it. But regardless, I mean, I don't know whether you had a chance to take a look at the book beforehand, but regardless, this is the stuff that we do all the time, right?
All the time. Yeah.
So I am going to grab
Can I jump in and say I love your eyebrows? They're looking really nice.
Oh, thank you, darling. They said that they're twins, but fraternal. So they don't always look alike and they don't always look the same.
Okay. Hold on now. How come you don't have any glare on your glasses? Because you see, I'm just
must be luck because these just came from just random glasses off the internet.
Okay.
And I know you have nice glasses. I have no idea.
I think though for 2021, I am gonna get the anti-glare glasses.
Yeah, I've thought about that too. See, look there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so on page and you need them, right? Because you have a YouTube channel, Financially Focused TV.
Yes.
You didn't talk much about your professional life, but you have a history of a career in broadcasting that you continue on to this day. I'm a consummate professional, and I look forward to hearing more about what the goodies about what you do for a living.
But can I tell you, I've changed my professional outlook. I am now a master manifester.
Yes.
Okay? I mean, this is a big change for me because, I was honestly a happy hamster on the corporate treadmill. Okay. Happy. I would go to work 6 o'clock in the morning, leave 8. I mean, happy, workaholic, happy,
Mm-hmm.
And then, kids came and this life changed. And so the corporate treadmill that made me happy, it would mean that my happiness mean I wouldn't be around my kids. You know what I mean? And I like being around my kids. And I mean, I may not like all the work, but I actually like being around my kids.
Sure.
And
of course.
The whole corporate thing, hey. And so, but then, it's not like I stopped loving corporate or anything. Mm-hmm. And now I'm an entrepreneur. It's not like I don't love being an entrepreneur.
But you really love being a master manifester. Because
I met Love Fuller. And then I met some other of Love Fuller's, compatriots. And these ladies have changed my whole outlook.
And it's all based on The Secret and the law of attraction, right? Like our whole discussions, transforming our lives, being master manifestors. Yeah.
That's my career. I am a master
manifester. So am I. Exactly. So if we can get started with the reading on page 7. Okay, so I'm just gonna
one quick protocol.
Yes.
So you have the text and I have the PDF. Mm-hmm. Now, so just quickly, the page, because page 4 for me, the book, on the book it says page 4, it's actually page 20 on the PDF. So let's be clear. Can you give me a heading so we're on the same page? Literally.
Like attracts life. It's going to be where John Assaraf starts to talk.
Oh, yes. All right. John Assaraf.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So he says, the simplest way for me to look at a law of attraction is is if I think of myself as a magnet, and I know that a magnet will attract to it. You are the most powerful magnet in the universe. You contain a magnetic power within you that is more powerful than anything in this world. And this unfathomable magnet power is emitted through your thoughts.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
And then actually to tag onto it, I want to say the law of attraction says like attracts like. And so as you think a thought, you are also attracting like thoughts to you.
Right.
So this whole idea of us being a magnet, and that, you know, the attractive element is emitted through our thoughts, and the way it works is that like attracts like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's just a fundamental, you know, definition really of what the law of attraction is about.
Listen, let me tell you, when I say I'm a master manifester, it is not, I mean, it's not a joke. And my manifestation is high and low. You know what I mean? I remember I had a Garfield cat. You know, I love cats. So I had a Garfield animal when I was little. And you know, Garfield is an orange fat cat, likes pizza and whatever. And I had a cousin come over, and the cousin was crying and carrying on. So my grandma gave him the stuffed animal to keep quiet. And of course, I'm traumatized by it. Anyway, years later, one day I look, and who keeps coming to my doorstep?
Orange cat. Oh yeah.
Orange cat.
Yep.
And
wow,
yeah.
So you know that you also talked about people hear people saying that, oh well, you know, I bought a new car, and then on the road all I see all the time was the same kind of car. And we experience it with, you know, I was saying last week on the broadcast that on this show that when I first got into law of attraction, I started to meet so many people who are into the law of attraction, who believe in it, who, you know, live into it. And I was saying that I thought it was such a blessing. And you know that I have so many people around me that I could really spend my time with. And the same thing, like when we just met each other, and it was just like attracts like, right? I mean, right away we clicked, and we like basically kept in touch every week, I think, every since.
Yeah. I don't talk to my next door neighbor.
Right, exactly. So I mean, really, so it's so interesting. Like, you know, you do. So we attract also the positive
and the negative,
and all that. Yeah, and the negative.
Yeah. And I think, but can I say that since 2016, when something negative happens, and you know, there's been some biggies, I am now in the space of saying, you know, yeah, I have the initial, I'm upset. But what's the lesson? You know, where am I? What space am I in? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because again, like, although I didn't declare my new job of master manifestor until 2021,
right.
I think that since 2016, I've been aware that there is this magnet, you know, and as I said, and humans, humans remember the bad more than the good.
Right.
I give you this long list of bad things that have happened to me.
But then when they're doing that, the thing is attracts like, they're attracting it. Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. So I knew as soon as it happened, I said, yeah. Wow. I knew it. But guess what? You know what's empowering about this, freeing about it?
You can always change it.
It's easier to let go. You know what I mean? And one of the things I would say to anybody watching this, law of attraction isn't a solo path. It isn't a path where you say, I'm going to take on I'm going to take on law of attraction, change my life by myself. I am convinced law of attraction is a group activity. It's people that you can share your learnings with. That's what, in my humble opinion, makes it work.
And I think that, you know, like any kind of religion, or any religion does that. They have like fellowship. They say fellowship is an important part, right?
Right.
Anytime you're trying to like change your associations or change your mindset, you want to immerse yourself in this kind of culture and the language and the right. So when you're conversing with other people, but then at the same time, you know how Barbara always says, we were on a discussion group on Sunday, and then Barbara's always talking about the fact that you have to do the work yourself.
You do.
You do have to do the work yourself. And you were talking about the work about, when a situation shows up that you don't like or that you're not happy with how you deal with it. And I'll share with my similar perspective or my similar approach. And that's the thing. There's so many different approaches to using these principles, right? I mean, there's no, one way. And also there's no, right way even for you every single time. Sometimes, you need to switch it up or based off of, the circumstances. So I know that for me, when I'm experiencing a situation that I'm not happy with, when I'm conscious, what I do is I think about what am I believing? What thoughts am I having about this, and what am I believing to be true? And then I the practice I like to use is to try and compare that to, is that the highest truth? If the highest truth, according to like what I believe, or this metaphysical teaching, is like the highest truth is good. Like if this is in alignment, what I'm believing or thinking isn't in alignment with like all things are, all is well, everything is, working together to my good, that, am I feeling in alignment with that? And if I'm not, and I'm like, okay, I have to like align my thought with the principle. And that is the work that I have to do. Like, how, can I get myself to really, think good in the situation, because and it's so important because of what we just read about the magnet, that what I am emitting, whether consciously or subconsciously, if that's what I'm feeling, that's what I'm going to be emitting. You always talk about Abraham Hicks and how she's saying, what is the vibration that you're sending out?
Listen,
because that is what you're going to be attracting. She's so law of attraction, right? Esther Hicks and Abraham.
Yeah. Oh, listen. And I think also that, like, for me though, I can tell you in the moment, I don't remember no principle. What I hang on to though is there's something else. What happened right now at this moment, there's something else behind it.
But then the thing is, then over time, though, what happens is that, because I'm so familiar with that, but it's like, I think that's when we're learning anything. At first, we'll remember it. First of all, that means you're here remembering it now. But sometimes you'll remember, like you said, you'll remember it afterwards. But at least you have an awareness, in the moment now, because that's more than maybe we had in the past. And so what happens is that they say, like, practice makes perfect. The more we're going to be able to, like, switch in the moment. I'm not there yet either. Like switching and just like boom, like, going to like, oh, it's all good right there in the moment.
I can't do it.
I'm not there. However, thinking about it and like, starting the process and saying, okay, I'm out of order. It depends on how, of course, emotional the situation is for me, because that's definitely that's definitely right. Will get me. And also just forgetfulness in general. Forget about like how upset I am in the moment, but just in general, we walk around here because the world like shows us that, this is a material based world, and that, we have to like, manipulate the physical plane as opposed to, working with our minds. I was just watching, Reverend Ike today, and Reverend Ike was talking about, the fact that, listen, it's about working with your mind. If you want to change your circumstances on the physical plane, you need to change your mindset.
Yeah. I think also we've been trained, how we've been programmed is such. The law of attraction comes and says many things, so part of the message is have a high vibration, be happy, look for the good, agree with your good. So there's many ways in which the law of attraction manifests itself. Okay. But how are we programmed and how are we trained, whether in our homes, in society, whatever, in the workplace, in the supermarket, wherever? And I would argue that the most of the images and messages that we come across is in opposition, diametrically opposed to the law of attraction. And let me, a quick example. So I do coaching, and I have a client, and the concept I actually was introduced, and I've been sharing it, is: do you have a job, or do you have a job, and then do you have a career? And most people, including my client, thought her job was her career. And when we pulled it apart to say your job, here's the functions that you do, but then here's your career. And it's the portfolio. It is your network, your skills, your certification, your just whatever you have done.
Mm-hmm.
And her thought was, there's so many people on the job that are against me, that are not there for my upliftment. And I feel so attacked. And I feel so alone. And I feel like no one wants any good for me. What do I do? And I said to her, promote yourself, because the job you have no control over.
Mm-hmm.
Is an entirely different situation. And I asked her, like, so she has a particular job. So I said, well, what country influences, the policies and the rules and regulations? And she said, oh, Australia. I said, okay. So what would happen if you were offered the CEO position in Australia? She said, oh my God, I just have to learn so many new things. Well,
Right.
I can do it because I have a law degree and I have the basics, but
Right.
let's spend 2021 getting ready for that higher level job in Australia.
And I love the way you approached it, because the way that you started is like, you didn't use the word, but can you imagine?
Yeah.
I can imagine. I can see myself doing that. She's saying, I'm qualified for that, but it starts when you can start with the imagination,
Exactly.
right? But then the world is not telling us, like you're starting to say that there's like a difference between the world is shown, what the world like is showing us to be, or teaching us to be, the way we should operate, as opposed to the law of attraction or metaphysical approach, is that the metaphysical approach realizes that our thoughts are creative. Thoughts are things. So they talk about here, later here on page 13, if you scroll down to where Bob Doyley is,
Right.
or Doyle, Bob Doyle.
Yes.
Bob Doyle. I know he's the one who's always talking about thoughts or things. In this case in particular, he's not talking about that. Actually, if we go right past him, I'd love to read what Lisa Nichols says.
You want me to read?
Yeah, I would love that.
Okay.
You can read all the way through just her quote.
Okay. The law of attraction is really obedient. When you think of the things that you want and you focus on them with all of your intention, then the law of attraction will give you exactly what you want every time. When you focus on the things that you don't want, I don't want to be late. I don't want to be late. The law of attraction doesn't hear that you don't want it. It manifests the things that you're thinking of. And so it's going to show up over and over and over again. The law of attraction is not based on wants or don't wants. When you focus on something, no matter what it happens to be, you're really calling that into existence.
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's really so interesting, because it's like, I feel like that is a kind of vocabulary, a kind of discussion that can be difficult for people who are, getting started or used to the old way of thinking. We spend so much time talking about, what's not working or what didn't work. And I like how she talked about, it doesn't matter if it's in the, I think it was here when she said that. I mean, when she says it doesn't matter if it happened in the past, or if you're thinking about the past, if you're thinking about the present. No, this is not the time she talks about it, but she has a quote later where she says that if you're thinking about the past, if you're talking about the past, you're thinking about talking about the present, if you're talking about the future. But if you're talking about it negatively, like what you didn't like or what you don't want, you're still you're still attracting that. And yeah,
Yeah.
I think that that can be very difficult because it's like we're so, like you said before, we're so used to saying what we, you know, talking about what we're not happy about, or we also used to noticing what we're not happy about. We
And the
feel
thing
it
is,
so much, feel it so intensely what we're not happy about.
and the thing is, you know, one of the things about, like, you know, just showcasing my client was, you know, she has this meeting later down in this month, and it was like, you know, her supervisor is like this high level meeting, and it's about everything that they don't like, which this, you know, all, you know, it's like one of those beat up meetings, you know. And I said to her, well, okay, if you were the CEO of the Australian equivalent going into that meeting, how would you feel? How would you present? Okay. What steps can we, you know, what can we do to get you up there? And I mean, listen, we all have layers that we have to overcome, which is why I say this whole law of attraction thing ain't no solo job. Okay. Because
Especially because you know what? For sure it's not a solo job because we also have to like bounce off of people. Like
exactly.
one thing I noticed is that something that happens so often, like when we're working with the law of attraction, that somebody will show up in your life that really, really bothers
Yes.
you. Like gets on your nerves or whatever. And then like so often sometimes you can like take like if you look at yourself, like how am I like this person? Or am I like this like with this person, you know, to other people? Or do I act this way or do I feel this way? Even if it doesn't look exactly the same. But like if this person is like very whatever, can I say, okay, how am I selfish? And like
Yeah.
when we, but sometimes like it will show up. Like I have had like people who are like caricatures of like my stuff, parts of myself that get on my nerves, or that I don't want to be like to be like. I mean, the thing is that we have, you know, we have to realize that everything has its purpose. We might judge it that we don't like that kind of personality, like part of that personality, but it serves a good purpose, right? When it's used, and it just needs to be used appropriately. Like sometimes, you know, like you say, if like, oh, you know, can I could be, I don't know, like I was gonna think of cranky, but if you think of cranky, I don't see when being cranky is positive for a positive thing. But let's just say, oh, people say you're bossy, you're so bossy, you
I
know,
take
bossy.
cranky as a sign that you need to rest. I take cranky as a sign of rest. A
Right,
long
everything
time
has a
ago,
signal for you. Yes, it's a
I
signal.
heard that
Really good.
if you treat yourself, if you see yourself expressing certain behaviors, sign to immediately start treating yourself as you would a colicky, cranky baby. So normally, what does the baby? They want something to eat. They want to maybe take a bath. They're
Yeah, you care for it. You
and
care. You find out what care it needs.
yeah,
Absolutely, right?
you know, cranky. So, and your emotions is like anger. You know, I like to say I spent 10 years in anger. However, anger is not necessarily a bad thing if you understand it as somebody has crossed a boundary, and this is a signal for you to be more clear. So it's obvious that you didn't communicate to a person, look, I don't like this. Okay. Or if you did communicate that I don't like this, the person don't take you seriously. Is this someone you need to be around? So,
Well, probably not, since like attracts like.
you see
You
the
probably
challenge
don't
is
want to
somebody like me.
keep that in your and right, because you, like you said, the company you keep matters, right?
It
Because we
does.
don't want to keep we don't want to keep these people
No.
in our consciousness, in our awareness. We don't want to be thinking about them. We don't be thinking about the upset or whatever. So it's best, right? Sometimes that's the best that we can do if we're not, you know, at the place where we're like really mastering our minds the way we would like to. Right? You know, mastering our minds the way we would like to. I know, you know, later in the book, they talk about this, that, you know, not even later in the book, they're talking about this. The whole point of understanding what the law of attraction is and using the law of attraction is because it gives you mastery and power over your life, over the outcome. You're no longer a victim. I mean, because you are creating it. So they talk about here, I don't know if we we're kind of like, I'm not really, keeping a track of where it is in the book. They talk about this a little bit about how we are like, they didn't use the word satellites, but almost like a satellite where we're emitting energy, right? And whatever
Right.
energy we're emitting, that is the frequency that we're like, vibrating on, and that's what we're going to attract more of that. And I like to use the analogy that, we're like projectors, like
Right.
movie projectors. And so whatever's in our mind and our consciousness is going to like play out on the screen of our lives. It's going to show up as characters. It's going to show up as places, people, places, and things and experiences. But it's based off of, law of attraction is saying that first comes the thoughts, right? Reverend Knight is always talking about that, right? Nothing's coming, nothing, you're not experiencing anything in your life unless it is because you believe it, because you think about it, because you believe it. And he was like, look, I believe I'm rich, and that's why I'm rich. He said, I was listening to this,
Rolls Royces, and so you got 12.
Exactly. I was listening to a tape today, and he was saying that, he calls it a tape, but I was listening to, him on YouTube today, and he was saying that, one time that he came to some town, and they were like, oh, people were, kind of crowding around, and they were like, oh, that's Reverend. He was like, that, him right there, that's money. That ain't nothing but money.
Right.
Like, he didn't even say his name. He's like, that is money right here. Right. And he was like, yes, right. Because that's, I'm money, or I'm love, right? I'm love. I'm, joy. I love that name, Joy, right? People have that name, Joy, right?
Yeah.
Because that is, whatever we're thinking about, whatever we're focusing our attention on, the way Reverend, focuses on money, that is what you're going to attract in your life. So if I'm going to focus, like you talked about, like you spent, you said 10 years in anger, and although it had a positive purpose, right? Overall, well, I guess when you come to law of attraction, comes to metaphysical, realm, thinking in that way, you're realizing that, okay, I need to be thinking about what I do want and talking about what I do.
And that's the thing, though. Yeah. We have to overcome programming. Let us not, I love when I tell you that most nights I go to my bed grateful for the day somebody dropped the law of attraction and metaphysical books into my life. Okay. I that is like a constant prayer. I'm so grateful. The other thing that has come up as I read, the more I read metaphysical books, the more I have to reread them. Because the first time I read, I am in one level of consciousness.
Sure.
And then the second time I read it, I usually am in another, like I have
different time and place. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a book called Hidden Power for Human Problems. And it is like, I have had to tape it up to hold it together. I have read it so many times because it didn't solve, quote unquote, all my problems the first time I read it, because I was focused on one thing. And then I read it again. Now I'm reading it, and I cannot leave a particular chapter because so for example, it tells the story of this man who was in real estate sales, and he couldn't sell. So he went for a treatment, a metaphysical treatment, to kind of like, remove the blocks. And as Frederick Biles is the writer, and Frederick was saying, when he questioned the man, he realized he was very, 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 very angry and hated his ex-wife. And his ex-wife had petitioned the court for maintenance, a higher, like more alimony. And in needing to prove to the court, he told all his friends he'd rather starve than pay her $1 more.
Okay.
Prove to the court that he didn't have the money. Naturally, he wasn't selling. All right. So his real estate career was
right. He spoke the word over himself, and that's what he experienced. For sure.
So that's law of attraction.
Law of attraction.
You starve, and so Mr. Biles was saying to him, listen, I can treat for you, but if her anger and resentment is in one part of your mind, it's going to flood over and color everything.
Right. Like attracts like.
Where I'm stuck because I have resistance. I grew up in a situation where I had to resist and rebel on so many things. And now I'm starting to realize, let me tell you, I have to, because there's another thing I do, is art journaling. I would recommend it to everybody. All you do is get a notebook and some crayons. This is, it's, yeah, there's a science behind it. You can go get that coaching, but I'm just saying it's at the bottom, you just get crayons. And, I draw. And one of the things in terms of resistance, I just wanted to show is that I started to map out all the areas in my childhood where I had to be resistant. And I was being resistant, I think, for my own good, but it's just started to manifest. And all these little stick figures are the circumstances in which I'm resisting and resisting and resisting and resisting.
So, Dennise.
Yeah. Oh.
I think that is such good, like deep, intense work. It's like you're being your own psychologist. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say also then when the person came for treatment, right? So the person's coming from treatment and the person who's coming from treatment is saying these words like, lack, 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 or resistance, 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 resistance. And like I'm saying cancel, cancel, cancel. I'm saying acceptance and acceptance, acceptance. I'm saying, I'm saying guide, clarity, clarity, clarity. I'm saying guide, I'm guided, guarded, and protected. The universe cannot. So it's like, I think it's really the law of attraction. For me, when I realized, that the law of attraction is still working, even when we're doing this like psychological work, that for me was also showed me like a turning point where I have to use different words, because whenever I say those words that I didn't want, the negative things, whenever you're saying those, whenever you're saying it, whenever I'm turning my attention to it, whenever I'm, getting that feeling related to it, the pain, digging up the pain and the hurt, that's creating it. And I know like at our center, Dr. Bob, the minister, he is also a psychology major. I mean, not major. He was a therapist. So he does believe, and because some people on New Thought don't believe in even going to like what the problem is. They're just saying, look, you just say the good. You just say like, say God, go to God, and you don't even have to like, continue.
Yeah, I've heard it. I have heard. Yeah.
And then there are other people who do believe in denials, like you're rooting it out, but then you immediately have to plant a new seed, right? When you pull the root out, more weeds will grow there, on their own, unless you immediately, fill that hole, fill that space. When you're saying, okay, I'm realizing this, but now you have to create a new drawing. You're an artist, you have to create a new drawing for what's going in that place.
Yes.
Right now, where you're at with that energy of that picture is resistance and screaming all over the place.
Right. So I agree with you. So what happened is, again, so I had this. Thank you. It's like, what transformation do you hope the new year will bring you? So I have been doing like, here are some, the inner child in me that's happy. And she has the keys to my abundance.
Right.
And then, of course, here's my, being, my who I consider my mentor, and facing, her lion, you know what I mean? And so I agree. And then here I am, with this is me, and this is my dragon facing my fears. Yeah. And then this is my cake of abundance.
That's beautiful, right? I love that.
And
having a cake of abundance. What? Beautiful.
Because
exactly. And why do you do this? Why do you have all these things in this book?
So as I told you, I did an awesome art therapy course with a lady called Dennise Francis Robinson. And what she, teaches us is that you basically, like even this one session where we put our hands and we took crayon and drew on our hands. And it says here, show me how to build a life I love with ease and grace. And then you put googly eyes on the eyes because I said show me. I have
Show
my
me.
eyes. And so each of this, you're looking at how do you want to live, like spa life, fresh.
Well, I was asking if this has anything to do with the law of attraction. Why
Absolutely,
you make this book?
because okay, so as a visual person, for me, having an art diary is about what I want to release and what I want to attract. So as I would, show you in the beginning of my book, I would have started out in that space of being those people that deny, deny, deny. But then I kept asking myself, well, why am I not mastering manifestation in a way that I want? And then that's when I started to. I've been reading other books, and the work on forgiveness. Forgiveness, is people talk about it all the time. But you see what the image that came to me, that was shown to me in the book I was reading, The Energy of Money, is that forgiveness is basically handcuffing you, unforgiveness, I should say, handcuffing you to the person that you don't like or that hurt you.
Right. Like attracts like, because you're sending out that energy.
The law of attraction.
I love how you're saying that, handcuffing you to it too, because the more you keep sending out that energy, thinking about them or thinking the negative, thinking the problem about it, you are handcuffing yourself to them. Right? Because you are drawing for yourself what you want, don't want.
Especially if you have to interact with them on a frequent basis, as I have to interact with two particular persons who press my button. And the other thing, The Energy of Money, in that book, and it's all based on the law of attraction. She was saying a lot of times it's difficult for us to forgive because we don't understand that what we're angry about is not what the person did to us, but who we are when we're around that person. Who are we being? What are we attracting? So as soon as I step in front of person X, I'm a scared 12-year-old, and I attract the treatment that a scared 12-year-old is going to get.
Right. And so then how do you start? But then what do you do about that?
Well, the first thing is you acknowledge your own behavior.
Right. And then you, like you said, you acknowledge your scared 12-year-old. And then what do you do about it? Because I feel like we have to have, like, what's the point of, I believe in this, but we don't have practical method to get to this, mind.
Right. So you're acknowledging who you are being in front of the person who hurt you.
Gotcha.
And you acknowledge how you characterize that person.
Right. What you think about them, how you characterize them, your thoughts and your beliefs about them.
So these two people that kind of press my buttons, I have roasted them on the spiritual fires for years. And it's time to stop. Okay, so I acknowledge that I'm being a 12-year-old, and I acknowledge that I characterize them. And no matter that even 2 hours ago, the person behaved exactly as I characterized them, I need to release it. Every time you release it, because you don't want to carry them with you. You don't.
And then also, I think when we're talking about the law of attraction, I think a good question is what thoughts or beliefs or feelings do I have that are attracting this to me? Because if you change the thought, this teaching is saying, if you change that thought, you'll change your life.
Right.
You change the thought about the,
So where's my insecurity? Where do I feel insecure? Where do I feel maybe dependent?
And then when you find it, you change.
You release. And I think for me, with the law of attraction, what is very important, I think level one is turning on the light. I think because of our training, we're in the dark about our personalities, the layers of personalities that we have, the way we interpret life events. We're in the dark. You say you saw a car accident, and then you're not aware of how it impacts your sense of safety or how you trust people. Or you just say, oh, it's a car accident, and you move on. But your spiritual self has processed it differently.
Yeah. And I think the thing is, like, when we're talking about, I want to make sure that we only have like 15 minutes. I want to make sure we get through chapter 1 if possible. And we got lots and lots of pages. So not to cut, you off for sure. But I do want to kind of, talk along the lines of the book a little bit to get through the chapter. But so connected to what you're saying is that, you know, we're having that experience, and then in the middle of that experience, on Lisa Nichols says on page 16, so scrolling down to where Lisa Nichols shows up again.
Mm-hmm.
It says, it's working as much as you are thinking. Anytime your thoughts are flowing, the law of attraction is working. When you're thinking about the past, remember I was referring to this quote before. When you're thinking about the past, the law of attraction is working. When you're thinking about the present or the future, the law of attraction is working. It's an ongoing process. You don't press pause. You don't press skip. You don't press stop. There was no skip.
Yeah.
It's forever and in action as your thoughts are. And so that is like the thing is like, you know, I just feel like that's what I like about this metaphysicians and the people in the center, like at this particular center that you and I are do the discussion group at, because it's like we're always remembering to say, or not just that, I would say the mystics really. The mystics, the writers, they're so intentional about talking about the highest word. So these books that you're reading, that you're like, you know, flushing, you know, your mind, you know, like flooding your mind with, right? Those are the thoughts that you're thinking when you're reading these books that are telling you that, you know, we're speaking words of peace. We're speaking words of abundance. I think you talked about abundance earlier, right? You know, speaking, you know, we're putting our minds on this, like the beautiful images. That's so for me, that your art book is like a treasure map, like a vision board, right? But that, you know, you use different mediums of art, mediums of art to create it. But it's still the same thing. You're like vision, you're putting into, and then when we see it, you know, even when I was looking at it, it might feel like I was like smiling, and I was just like, oh my gosh, it feels so good. And, you know, I know that you're a big, you know, watcher of Abraham Hicks, and that feeling that I got when I looked at your book was a blessing to me. When I had that feeling of like, oh my gosh, how beautiful, and how I love the word that you had, like the cake. What did you say about the cake?
Cake of abundance.
Cake of abundance. I mean, how creative is that? And I love cake. You know, I was like, I love abundance. So I was just like, oh, that made me feel good. And that was a blessing to me. Why is that a blessing? Because those feelings and those thoughts of good that I focused my attention on, and not in that moment, I could have been thinking about something that I don't like or somebody I didn't like. But instead, I was thinking about what I did want. And then that means I'm creating more of that for myself, especially, you know, the beauty of those words that you just said. But well, I'm not going to attract any cake right now, but abundance. And or a cake of abundance, like, you know, I'll take that. But it's just like, and all, you know, the beautiful image of the golden key, and, you know, the little girl, you know, we're you know, putting love into. So whenever we're focusing on these positive things and these positive images and these positive words and smiling and, like, you know, like feeling these things with our heart, the good thing is that we're attracting that. I always say that, you know, you can't think of like two things at one time. You can't think of, you know, an apple or an orange. You can't think of both at the same time. You have to go back and forth, or you put them both in the same picture, but you can't think of, you know, each one. You can't think of both at the same time. Like if you're only thinking about one at a time, you know? So it's like when you focus if I choose to focus my attention on something, whatsoever things are beautiful, whatsoever things are kind or good report. I need to learn that scripture. But, you know, if I think on those things, then that is what I'm going to attract. Here on page 16, Lisa Nichols says, oh, I just read that. On page 17, Michael Beckwith talks, where it starts the second paragraph, like on laws of nature, under Michael Beckwith. Could you mind reading until Harris?
So, like all the laws of nature, there is utter perfection in this law. You create your life. Whatever you sow, you reap. Your thoughts are seeds, and the harvest you reap will depend on the seeds you plant. If you are complaining, the law of attraction will powerfully bring into your life more situations for you to complain about. If you are listening to someone else complain and focusing on that, sympathizing with them, agreeing with them, In that moment, you are attracting more situations to yourself to complain about. The law is simply reflecting and giving back to you exactly what you are focusing on with your thoughts. With this powerful knowledge, you can completely change every circumstance and event in your life, in your entire life, by changing the way you think.
Bold promise.
Yes.
Yeah, bold promise. And I mean, I can say that like I mean, my life has changed for sure, for the better, for sure, for sure, for sure. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I cannot say for sure that in the whole overall the changes for good or because I can't see I never thought until this moment like, oh, there might be a direct correlation between the overall changes for good in my life and my thought process about good. I know I thought about, oh, the things I wanted to manifest. And so I find I manifested those things and yeah, my life feels better. But I wonder about my thoughts overall. But I do know that in given situations, in certain situations,
Mm-hmm.
I have definitely experienced that, when I change my thought about something or someone in the moment, then the circumstance, can change. You have a situation like, imagine this, like, okay, you're, you're being called, your boss says he wants to call and he wants to talk to you tomorrow. And that, it's likely that it was something that you did that was out of order. But I mean, I feel like it's like, I always had this idea that it's not over to the fat lady sing. So it allows me to imagine that something else better could happen. Imagine, see myself, me like laughing, saying, oh my gosh, I thought you were going to say something else. And, imagine and just know that it is possible, that grace exists, that I don't have to get in trouble, that I can, realize like whatever I did wrong, if I know I did something wrong or whatever I did, I can just say, okay, I'm, get clarity, not do it again. Like, okay, I don't need to have some punishment from my boss, like firing me or something like that. Like, you're really just working with my mind to fight off the idea that it has to be something negative that happens when I go into that office, and really like dig and find in my imagination any kind of thing I can find to hold on to believe that it's possible that there's something good that's going to come out of that thing. And I have done that multiple times. And when I walk in that room, things have changed. And every single time I'm like shocked. I'm like, I can't believe this is what happened. I'm probably like, Dennise, I said this. I said it was going to be like this. And I imagined this. And I said this and I imagined that. And oh my gosh, I walked in and it happened. That's the part they say you're supposed to still be surprised. But I'm still like, oh my gosh. And it's fun. And it's exciting.
That's the training. I mean, we all have so much programming to overcome, but the joy is that this teaching exists. What a gift.
Yes, absolutely. Right. It's just so, and it's life-changing just to know that all I have to do is literally brainwash myself. I just have to just convince myself that something else is possible, something better.
I'm saying you were already brainwashed into not believing you deserve good. So now
I'm going to brainwash myself. Exactly.
That cleaning.
Or that I can get in trouble by somebody in that scenario. That scenario was like, who is this person that I can get in trouble by? Like, oh, he's better than me. He lords above me or whatever. Or that my job is my source, or that, I have to be holding to like all this fear related to going into the man's office. You know what I'm saying? Like, you create your own monsters based off of, like you said, the programming that we have of fear and negativity and stuff like that.
We were taught. I mean, one of the things why I like my cake of abundance is because most of us were taught one way to make money, have this one job, and our stomach is tied in knots because we're afraid of losing the one job.
Yes. And you didn't really talk that much about, though, what you do, like what kind of coach. You said you're a coach, but you didn't say what kind of coach.
I'm a financial coach and a financial success coach, because financial success means different things to different people. I can say, I mean, one of the first things you have to do is acknowledge the poverty and deprivation that we were all brought up with. And I'm not talking about if you didn't have, indoor plumbing kind of deprivation.
No. But if you talk to believe that money is the root of all evil.
Exactly. You could be in
Right?
Beverly Hills and see such bad, irresponsible behavior with money that you learn to hate it. You could,
Yeah,
you
the
know what
wonderful
I mean?
and the wonderful thing, right, is that, I know you talked about how you work with your clients' minds, because if they start to see things differently and realize that they are, are worth other things, and that they can manage their money and they can prosper, because right, that's the first step, right? Believing and knowing that you can't change your
Even,
mindset. Like
and
Reverend Ike always says, like Reverend Ike tells this story about how there's this guy who he was getting a new Rolls Royce, and there's this guy who said, "Oh, Reverend Ike,
yes,
man, he got a new Rolls Royce." He was like, "Man, I was just looking at that Rolls Royce. I was gonna get that." And Reverend Ike said to the man, "No, you weren't, because that's my Rolls Royce. I had the consciousness for it, and if you had it, but if you had it, you would you'd be driving. But I guess I'm not." But he's like, "You listen, I have that consciousness, claiming it, even though he came from poverty, even though he came from he always talks about, he used to have to work, him and his mom used to have to walk to school, to the one room schoolhouse where she was the teacher, and how he didn't have enough money, like in middle, or I don't know, like when he went to whatever school, he didn't have enough money for a dime for lunch.
Yeah.
So despite that, he said that he worked with his mind. And I gotta tell you, that is the reason why I'm here, because why I'm here doing this discussion, why I'm here always studying the law of attraction, is because I definitely know that I have so much more with my, to work on with my mind. And like you said, reprogramming those negative thoughts that I've had.
It is it's so pervasive, you'd be surprised. What is your behavior in the supermarket? What is your behavior when you go to buy a car? What is your behavior when you're looking at a house? What is your behavior with your pets? What is your behavior with your kids and money? What's your behavior? What are all these things? So there's so many layers.
Yes. And right. So when we look at exactly, and one of the great layers is the mind. So I'm going to go to this second to the last page, or the last page in the chapter.
Okay.
23, when Dr. Joe Vitale, how do you say it? Vitale. I know he's one of your favorite authors. He talks here underneath his quote. He says that he talks about 2 ways to basically become master manifestors, right? Or to really practice, get yourself strong to master your mind. So one way to master your mind is to learn to quiet your mind. Without exception, every teacher in this book uses meditation as a daily practice. It wasn't until I discovered the secret that I realized how powerful meditation can be. Meditation quiets your mind, helps you control your thoughts, and revitalizes your body. The great news is that you don't have to set aside hours to meditate. Just 3 to 10 minutes a day to begin with can be incredibly powerful for gaining control over your thoughts. And he says the second thing that you need to do to master your mind is to become aware of your thoughts. Similar to what you were saying, you have to realize what is the gunk going around down in there? Is it resistance? Is it, pain from my childhood or whatever, right? So become aware of your thoughts. But then what you can do is you can set an intention that I am the master of my thoughts. So when I start to think these thoughts or think about these things that I don't like, that bring me pain and, memories, bad memories and stuff, to say I am the master of my thoughts, which, I never have thought about doing that in the moment. Like, say I'm the master of my thoughts. Say it often, meditate on it. And as you hold on to that intention, by the law of attraction, you must become that. You must become what you are saying out of your mouth.
Well, Reverend Ike, he always talks about telling your feelings what to feel. And I've had to do that quite a bit in the last time. To tell my feelings what to feel.
Let's give ourselves, as we close out this session, let's give ourselves an assignment.
Okay.
That we start to tell ourselves how to feel. Is that what you said?
He said, tell your feelings what to feel.
Tell
Yeah.
my feelings what to feel. So this week, let's practice that. Telling our feelings what to feel. How do you feel about that?
Okay. All right.
Telling our feelings
Okay.
what
Can
to
I
feel.
add a twist?
Yes.
I'm going to add a twist. This one, as you know, we been tossing this ball around. How do we feel at the point where we earn $250 million a year, and after we earn it, because we know how to make, I'm layering this on, right? After we learn, we have the feel, we're teaching ourselves how to feel, because I can tell you that there's a trepidation, is so much money. But who would we bless it? What charities would we bless that money with, so that we have to start again?
Absolutely. So I definitely say, to anyone who's out there who's interested in doing that along with Dennise, right? Think big, like the big amount of money that you would.
Yeah, but we're not keeping it.
Yes, you're
We're
giving.
not
You're not
keeping it.
keeping it. Okay,
We're
you're
not
giving
keeping
away
it.
the whole entire $250
No,
million.
so the thing is, so I'm saying the challenge then is to teach ourselves how to feel at that level.
Yes.
Talk about, because that's not like an overnight thing, because there's a lot of barriers you got to cross.
For sure. So that's great. That's a great challenge. As we close out, at the end of the hour right now, as we close out, I think those are good, two different, very different kinds of challenges. I mean, the thing is, like, the viewers who are watching this, they're not in on the $250 million a year kind of thing right now. So we'll maybe take that as a private challenge. You and I will talk about that more during this week. But and then for the sake of when we meet back here, I guess we'll meet back here in you're going to be back here in 2 weeks, I think, right? You're going to join us again in 2 weeks. And we could talk about, how we've been mastering our feelings as we go along, right? Because, we talk about the fact that, okay, your thoughts, your beliefs, and your feelings are what attract to you. Whatever you think, feel, and believe is what you attract. But then that feeling is so strong, like that, whatever your feeling vibration you're sending out there is what you are attracting. So I'm going to work on, I want to work on. I invite you to join me and any of the viewers out here to join us in, being the master of our feelings and telling our feelings what to feel, which is going to be good and happy and peaceful. I do have a story about that, but I can't share it right now because we are over time. But suffice it to say, earlier today, I did just that. I was like, you know what? I'm going to forget about that, whatever, and just be happy and just in that moment. And I just switched. So I was about to say this to my husband, and I said, no, I'm gonna say this, and said something else, made it positive, and it ended it in hugs and kisses, right? Because we were both just so happy to just be on the positive. So yes, so I just thank you so much for joining me and joining us, Dennise Williams. And I look forward to, of course, learning more about you and spending more time together with you. Next time, I think you'll be back. We'll probably be on chapter 4 or 5. So definitely, everyone, stay tuned for Dennise. Thank you so much for watching. If you missed last week's episode, you can take a look at it here. You can take a look at it in the I will link it in the description box for sure, and you'll be able to see it above. I'll also link all of Dennise's contact information in the description box as well. If you would like to have some financial coaching, and if you want to check out her channel, Financially Focused, where she gives great information about how to manage your finances.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Namaste.
Ciao, friends.
Bye.